Hello again, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of our video tonight. Mansoor Delane from LSU, previously of Virginia Tech, is who we're talking about tonight. Austin Freed is joining us. This is the Box Score Network. We will be putting out quite a few individual players. We did that on purpose. What we were trying to do over time is basically give all of you an index. So if you want to see a specific player, you didn't have to watch a whole hour show on cornerbacks if you didn't want to. We'll have some of those shows too, but we tried to index it to where you could pull up some of these players much more easily and just add to what you're already, how you're already viewing the player. All right, we're not trying to, put out a big thing here and just make it like we're the be all end all. We do work hard at this. We're putting out a lot of good stuff on this. We have good opinions on this, but add it to what you're already doing. Okay, so this is Mansoor Delane tonight, 6 foot 190. Has really helped out LSU's defense a lot this year. Austin, go ahead and set the table on Mansoor Delane.
Yeah, this is a guy who is not necessarily going to jump off the page. Like if you're, like us and you watch a lot of tape and you were maybe watching some Dorian Strong tape in last year's class, he's not the type of guy who you would necessarily have your eyes drawn to too often uh, just because while you're watching one guy, you're like, oh wow, who's that? Like there's plenty of those guys around. He to me is not one of them. But when you sit there and you lock eyes on Mansoor Lane and you just watch his technique and study him carefully, you start to fall in love. His uh, ability to just match whatever the receiver is doing and just kind of stay in that hip pocket is so impressive for someone who's not necessarily the fastest or the biggest. He has a really nice blend of size and speed to just be big enough to hand fight with some of the larger guys he'll cover and just be quick enough to not get burnt by some of the faster guys he'll cover. And I think I'm really impressed with his strength for his size, especially when you watch him in press man. He gets some really good jams on guys. I think that's one of the more impressive things that I see him do is just jam a receiver right off the line. And then he's sitting pretty because once he gets a jam on you, it's tough to shake him off because he has the hip fluidity and mobility to stay with you if you don't, burst off the line and sort of get some early separation. That's how you have to beat him is by being really quick and really shaky off the line to sort of get that initial separation, and then maybe you can find an opening. But if he gets you early, you're pretty toast. I I do like his ball skills as well. I think he is one of those guys who isn't necessarily, just a corner because he couldn't catch. I feel like he's the type of guy who, has plenty of talent in the hands department and ball skills. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him, lead the league in interceptions or something at some point. He is that level of ball skill that I'm really impressed with. In terms of downsides, I don't think he's the best tackler, and that's just something I really don't care that much about from most corners, especially if you're playing outside corner for me. If you're a nickel, I want you to be able to tackle a little bit more just because you're going to be more in the mix more often. But, at DB, just lock the guy up. And that's really mostly what I'm going to ask of you. You can't be necessarily a liability in the tackling department or you get traded, like what happened in Cleveland last week. I don't know when you're watching this, but yeah, you got to be able to tackle at least a little bit, and he does have that ability. Especially at 190 with the size of modern day receivers. He's bigger than a lot of them actually at 6 foot
Yeah,
190.
yeah.
It's a new league we're in recently in terms of receiver size, but. This is a guy who is probably not going to be CB1 just because I think there is a different guy who I don't want to talk too much about right now, who, depending on if he gets healthy or not, will dominate athletically, and I think that's going to be really enticing for people. But he is going to be a lock for first round, medicals barring, and I think we could see him go inside the top half of the first round, even within the top 16. He's that level of player, I think.
I'm going to say something that I say a lot. Those of you in the audience who watch us, you know that I say this a lot. All right. Me and Austin, you and I are seeing this player almost exactly the same way. Now, I don't always say that a lot, but what I'm about to say, it's fine if we don't. Okay. Me and Austin and Shane, when he's on here, we do not compare notes. We get on here and we put it out there. All right. And we have our own different opinions, and that's good for you, the audience. It is good that we don't come in with a homogenous opinion. We have three different opinions. So when you're on here, you're getting two or three different looks at a guy from what we've seen. And sometimes we just see them differently. And that's good that we are bringing our own opinions. But you and I, Austin, are seeing this guy almost word for word, exactly identical, the same. All right. Because, a lot of what I'm going to say is copy of what you just said. Okay. The first thing I did notice is play. Oh, by the way, I didn't go back and watch the Virginia Tech tape on him. I just went ahead and hopped on the LSU tape for this year. Okay, playmaker, frequently in the middle of the action. At LSU during these games, he has seemed to have a knack for being in the middle of plays. I've really enjoyed that. But physical, seems to enjoy it, but also seems to rely on it. He really seems to just love being physical. He seems to take a little bit of special kick pride here being able to push around some of these guys. I love the physicality. You did mention that. He seems really comfortable in zone or man. I've watched him in both. Man, zone, it doesn't seem to matter. He just seems totally at home with it. He seems like he was born to be a cornerback, and he seems like he was born to cover guys. And it does not seem to matter to him whether he's in zone or man. I've watched him do both. He seems very comfortable at both a lot. It's not unusual to see guys these days who are very good in zone and they struggle in man, or flip side, they're very good at man and they're just not that great at reading zones. And he seems really comfortable in both. So that's a very important to me. I really like that. Very sticky, very handsy. Boy, it's just like he's in everybody's hip pocket. So almost like anywhere they go, he goes. I didn't see them getting away from him. That was beautiful. Has really good reflexes, able to mirror or even anticipate everything the wide receivers are doing. It just really felt like if he's not reading a route, he's just kind of got the cat-like ability to just copy what they're doing. So again, that's important. That's huge. That can be the difference between a first or second round guy. And I think he's got that. I really do when I've watched him here. He does a lot of work after the ball arrives. You mentioned the ball skills. I feel like he does a lot of work either knocking balls down or intercepting them after the pass gets there. Guys will challenge him. It's not like he's so shut down that they won't challenge him, but boy, it's like once the ball gets there, he's gonna he's gonna do everything he can, and he's very good at it at making sure it's an incomplete pass. He does a lot of work frequently after the ball gets there, and I like that. I like that he's able to fight there. Got the strong hands. I mentioned physical. He's got the ball skills to just straight up intercept it or just knock it down, rip it out, whatever. You're not going to complete a lot of passes against him. You did mention this, not top end straight line speed. In fact, he will often play off with a cushion the top deep threats. So that's not unusual to see if he's got a true burner and if he's suspecting that maybe he's not going to have as much safety help over the top as he would like, he'll give them a very large cushion. But he closes well. Once he figures out where the route's going, he's able to get right on them and stick with them. So it's not like they can double move him. He's got the cushion. Once he figures out where they're going, is right with them. So not top end straight line speed, but plenty of speed. I did notice Clemson Tigers in the game earlier this year. They went after him a lot in the second quarter. I mean, a lot. I don't know why they decided to do this,
Hmm.
but they did. I mean, several times in the second quarter, they went right after him on purpose, and it did not go well. They had very little success. It wasn't zero success, but very little. Sometimes you see guys not get challenged because there's other easier places to go to. They went right after Mansoor Delane, and it was not good for them. He held up, and I really loved getting to see that because you don't always get to see that with defensive backs. Not particularly stout in the box. You did mention the tackling not being the greatest. For all the physicality he shows as a cover guy, he's just not particularly stout in the box. So again, don't be asking him to. Now he can drop down in the box and make a tackle, but he's also going to miss some, or he's going to be out of position, or he's just not going to be right where he needs to be and tackling as pure as he needs. He's not stout in the box. I don't think he ever will be. Okay, so it's just again, that's the way it is. NFL teams, and you mentioned this from a different angle. NFL teams will want to challenge him with either really fast wide receivers or really tall wide receivers. One or the other. You're not going to beat him with your average NFL guy. I think he's too good for that. But if you are going to beat him, it's going to be with more of the T Higgins height type, or it's going to be with a really really fast guy. But I don't think you're consistently going to beat him with anybody. He's gonna make every catch difficult, and so I really do love that. He can be beat. He's not shut down, but he really makes life difficult. They're just I didn't see any tape of him just flat out getting beat. It's like every play is hard and difficult. Every time you throw the ball his direction, you're like, man, I wish I'd have just thrown it somewhere else. You're just not going to typically get much off of him. So for me, that's why I got him in the first round. And I hadn't yet vaulted him up into the top 15 because I'm still putting this class together about where I would want him. But I could get him there. I could get him top 15. Again, we're still putting this class together. We're still a few months away from where this 26th draft will be. Mansoor Delane can come play for me anytime. I will draft him first round. Got no problem doing that. He is going to make life miserable on people that want to throw the football to him. Austin, your last word on him.
Yeah, we do see him very similarly. Absolutely, you're right about that. To me, the reason I see him as a top 15 pick potentially is he reminds me a lot of Denzel Ward, just not as fast. Denzel Ward and him have a lot of similar, like very similar size, but similar movement skills in a lot of different categories, except for just pure speed. Denzel Ward,
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly what he ran, but it was like low 4.3s. We're not going to see that out of Delane. He's going to be low 4.4s maybe.
Right.
Um, and it's just not the same level of speed. And that's why Denzel Ward went top five. But when I'm comparing the two, I think they both have very similar ball skills that I talked about, and coverage skills for the most part, except for that speed. So to me, that just knocks him down a peg from a guy like Ward, who is elite, to that sort of top 15-ish to me. Um, I was trying to think of more recent draft picks, and my brain was like, okay, well, I comped Quinion Mitchell to Denzel Ward a little bit, but I don't, for some reason, there's something like Quinion Mitchell's on the other side of Ward, like in terms of being even
Right.
smaller and things like that and faster
Yeah.
potentially. And Delane is more of the slightly bigger side of him. So yeah, that's sort of how I got to where I'm at in terms of comp and draft pick, where I would be comfortable taking him somewhere, 12 to 18 would be really, I think, my sweet spot for him.
And I'm getting there. Just for those of you watching and wondering where we're at in our draft work, right now, out of say my top 10 draft picks, I've got like five guys that are top 10 locks. So I don't even all yet
Mhm.
have my top 10 covet, level locked in yet, right? I got about five guys. I'm like, got to have them top 10. Then you back off and you're looking at like top 20. Well, I've got about, 12 guys that are just top 20 locks. I don't yet have my comfort level where I'm like, yeah, all these 20 guys got to be top 20s. We're still working through that. And then, I've got about 40 or 50 guys, and I don't yet have all my first round guys locked in yet, where I'm just like, yeah, I absolutely personally have to have this guy first round. So for me, Mansoor Delane, boy, I can totally see him 12 to 18. The way this class is shaping up, no problem with that. I'm right with you there all the way. So, anything else on Mansoor or the draft in general before we close out, man?
No, I think this is going to be a really interesting defensive class. We've talked about three really good defenders today, and I am excited to see. I always like the guys who sneak in kind of late. Like these are three guys, maybe not as much Delane, but we knew he was really good. But especially the other two, we know, truly elite coming into the class, or coming into their senior year or
Yeah.
junior year. Um, And Delane was pretty well known, big transfer out of VT. So I'm excited to see the guys who sneak in, and we're talking about later in the year, like, oh, I was not ready to talk about this guy a few months ago.
It happens every year. There are guys that you're like, yeah, it was a decent player, but all of a sudden they just rocketed up and we're
Hmm.
talking first round, you know,
Yep.
and that's part of the beauty of life and the draft. So, okay, everybody, thank you so much. This is the Box Score Network. I am Ben Parker. That is Austin Freed, and that is Mansoor Delane. Check him out in the 26th draft. Have a great one. Goodbye.